Good morning, everyone. Today is 25th March, and there is a lot of panic amongst investors, old as well as new, regarding the current market situation. Today, Nifty 50 is at 23,000 approximately, but on Monday it had come down to 22,500. This represents a roughly 10% fall since the time war started, and a 14% fall since the peak of the market. Now, it is obvious that people will panic, and since last 22 months almost now, there is no return in the market. That is called as time correction also. But I'd like to highlight three things which are very important for you to know before you take any decision. Point number one, markets are always forward looking. What I mean by forward looking is whenever there is an unknown event that happens, markets will discount it to the worst possible scenario. If it's a good event, then it will try to extrapolate it to a best case scenario. But whenever there is a bad event, market will first forecast what worst might happen and markets immediately react accordingly. So for example, let's say in 2020 when COVID hit everywhere in the world, Indian stock market was at its lowest when the number of cases were not even 1000. That was 23rd March 2020 when the lockdown was announced. After that, the number of cases in India went up to lakhs, but the market in fact went up during that time because market had already forecasted what worst might happen. Another example, in 2022 when Russia-Ukraine war happened, market in the first 3 months fell 14-15%, and while the war is still going on now, or of Russia-Ukraine, it's a non-event for the market because it's not an unknown event. Another example, last year when initially Trump announced tariffs across all countries, markets fell for the first 2-3 months because it was an unknown event before that. But when the tariff uncertainty was still there in July, August, September, etc., markets did not react because it had become a non-event. Market had already factored the worst possible scenario. So the current war which is happening, it's now 25 days since the war has started. It is going to become a scenario where whatever worst might happen is already predicted by the markets. So Nifty falling by 14% from the peak or 10% from the war initial days is probably the near about worst case scenario. Markets obviously can go down after this also, but I don't think there is too much room for further correction because market generally are forward looking. So that is point number one. Secondly, whatever portfolio losses you are seeing today are notional losses. Please don't convert it to actual losses by selling your shares or mutual funds. These are notional losses. If you don't look at portfolios for a few months, you will feel better after a few months. And third, if there is a possibility, discuss with your advisor and do more investments based on your goals, because these are the times when valuations are attractive and you can get benefit by purchasing at a lower NAV or lower share price. Thank you so much.